Hello everyone, my name is Alexa and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the last book in the Kingdom of the Wicked series called Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Manisalgo. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but my apologies if I'm not. Like the other two books that I've talked about, this one also has the sprayed edges, and there's also a little bonus chapter with like Envy and Amelia's sister in there. So if you want to see more of Envy, then I suggest you get this copy, the Barnes & Noble exclusive. With that said, I'm going to be going into what went on in this book, and as per usual, there's going to be spoilers. So if you wish to avoid spoilers, I'll put a little timestamp in the description to when I give my rating of this book, and also if you want to check out the other stuff or other books that I've talked about so far, then I'll leave the playlists down in the description as well. So with that said, let's get started with what happened in this book. This book takes place like right after what happened in the Kingdom of the Curse book. So basically, Amelia wanted to have sex with Wrath to complete the marriage bond, but she's trapped in this like illusion casted by her sister, since it turns out her sister is actually alive. Domenico has Amelia chained up, and he's a newly changed werewolf. They're like in this like shadow realm type thing, and that Amelia's real body is like back at Wrath's place, so it's like an astral like protection type thing. Domenico called Amelia a shadow witch, and her sister is holding her captive, basically because Victoria wants to have like this conversation with Amelia, and like basically tells her that she's really like this goddess, and that for her to fully become like this goddess, she has to have her heart like ripped out of her and all of that stuff. Then Wrath came to bring Amelia back from the Shadow Realm, and also Amelia found out that there's this like hex blade that can kill Wrath or like kill demons. The blade hasn't been found yet. Amelia wants to get it before her sister does, and after like all of that, Greed like sends a message that his castle or like his home has been breached and there's a murder in Greed's court. And so Amelia and Wrath like travel to Greed's home. Amelia and Wrath, like while they're going to go to this meeting with him, they perform sexual acts on the boat to where Greed is. And also Lust was supposedly, he saw what they were doing, and he like offered, if you want a third, then I can oblige, and that type of thing. And then we finally get to meet Sloth. He basically talks about how he has a library and he's like very smart, and he's also been helping Greed like investigate this murder. He's like was like basically like a detective type thing with like Prince Sloth. It turns out one of Greed's like top members named Vesta was murdered. Greed and the others like suspect Amelia's sister did it, and so Sloth, Wrath, Greed, and Lust, they are the ones that suspect Victoria did it, and also Domenico as well. And then Wrath declares war on Amelia's sister and will join with House Greed if they find Victoria and basically like charge her for her crimes. And Amelia basically vows to herself that even though her sister is deceiving Wrath and the others, that she will protect her sister. Amelia found like more information about Vesta because she's also trying to prove her sister's innocence. And then after Amelia found out more information, Amelia and Wrath consummate their marriage finally. So now they're husband and wife, but they're not like through them performing the sexual acts to complete the marriage bond. And then while that is going on, Amelia's like unlocking like these past memories for herself, and also Wrath is helping her unlock the memories to find out who she really is or who she was. And it turns out Amelia was the goddess of fury and her sister Victoria is the goddess of death. And Amelia questions if Victoria really was the murderer. Amelia and Victoria are called the Feared, and that they had a house in hell as well, like called House of Vengeance. Victoria has a lot of hatred and she treats her allies like trash. Basically, she like treats them as something to use instead of like being friendly to them, basically. And then once Amelia and Wrath are headed back home to a House of Wrath, Victoria is there waiting with all of her like werewolves and whatnot, and so Amelia and Wrath fight against Victoria's werewolf, and then Victoria somehow gets the upper hand and stabs Wrath with a poison blade, and she also threatens to kill Wrath, which then forces Amelia to activate her powers. And then Amelia is being held captive again by her sister. And also it turns out Envy is also being held captive by Victoria. And then Amelia and Envy seem to be finally getting along with each other, and he also admitted that he had his heart ripped out. And once again, Amelia mentions Envy's dimples. And then we find out that Amelia really does have a mortal heart. So her sister wants to make her immortal by removing her heart. Envy also is very protective of Amelia, and like told her that you should wait on this, like don't make like rash decisions because this process could kill you, and that you should do it when you're ready. And then sadly her sister killed Antonio when Amelia and Envy were like talking to him in a nearby cell because he was also captured. And then Celestia, who is Victoria and Amelia's real mother, comes to the rescue to free Amelia and Envy, and she basically gets the upper hand on Victoria, and she tells them to go find Wrath because he's being held somewhere, and so they do. They have to travel to like where the gates of hell are, and unfortunately they won't open, so they have to go all the way to House Pride. And then Amelia is like fighting against these like demons, like called Umbra demons. And then that turns out I think it's kind of messed up that Envy and Pride were testing Amelia's loyalty to Wrath while she's freaking out because her husband is like being held captive, and yeah. And then during that process when Amelia and Wrath are kind of like questioning Pride about, she found out more information about Vesta and that she wasn't happy in hell, and she also asked Pride about like this portal that goes between the mortal worlds and hell. And then I put a question mark as like Vesta the new werewolf because she's like new. And then Amelia and her sister have another conversation again with Nuna and their like grandmother, and tells them the truth about them, like their origins, and that Victoria has declared war on the supernatural beings like witches and like demons and whatnot. Then the vampires like send out a signal wanting to speak with Amelia and Wrath, and then we finally get to meet the first witch who arrived, and also this vampire named Blade, who's like the vampire emissary. And then we find out that the vampire prince used his betrothed and wanted his betrothed to pretend to be Amelia, while the first witch took Amelia away from Wrath, and that didn't turn out too well for both of them. Well, for his betrothed, actually. And then Amelia found out that Wrath was taking a tonic to lock his feelings away to protect her. And Amelia wants to find a way to end the curse and break her spell lock, and she wants her friend Fauna to help her to fully claim her king/Wrath. And then Amelia sees her sister once again, and then we find out that Sicily is really the Shifting Islands, because that's where her sister wanted her to meet her the first time, and that their home is glamored and is really a temple of hell/damnation. Basically, Sicily is the it's not the mortal world, it's more like it's like they're stuck in purgatory/hell type thing, basically. And then Amelia and her sister have this conversation about their past, and she asks her to finally remove her heart. And yeah, so that process happens, and then now Amelia is finally the immortal goddess Fury, and that she recalled all her memories from before. Her magic is also stronger, and she burnt down the restaurant. Then when Amelia returns back to Fauna, she's very afraid, like very wary of Amelia now, and Wrath is upset with her. The witches are gonna blame like the attack on Greed, and then kind of blame it on Amelia to declare war. They're gonna want to like demand blood retribution. And then once Amelia and Wrath return to Greed's place, they have like this little battle between the witches and the demons. And then Amelia killed the witches that attacked House Greed, but she wanted Nuna to run away because she didn't want to hurt her, because even though she regained her memories and all that, she still loves her Nuna. And then after all of that whole thing, like they have this celebratory feast to honor Amelia for destroying the witches. However, Amelia doesn't want people to fear her, and she kind of misses the way how she was mortal, because they see now that like everybody is afraid of her, and she doesn't like that. And then while Amelia was searching for memories on how to break Wrath's curse, we find out that Vesta was taken from her family by House Greed as a young child. She's a hybrid demon werewolf. And then we also find out that it will take 6 years, 6 months, 6 days to break the curse that befell the land. The first witch cursed upon all the demons, which if you put that together, that's 666. If you know, you know. And then we find out that Lucia, who is/was Pride's wife, is actually Claudia, who is the family friend of Amelia and Victoria. She erased all of her memories to forget Pride and her past. And then when Amelia visits Claudia, she tells her that she won't return her memories. That's something that she has to decide on her own, because she doesn't want Claudia to feel pain of her past. And so she asks Claudia to only activate the blue blade of ruination. And Claudia tells her that she only has 1 hour to break the curse, Wrath's curse. Wrath used the blade of ruination /stabbed Amelia so the curse could be broken, and Wrath regained his wings. And then Wrath finally tells Amelia that he loves her without being affected by the curse that was placed upon him. And then after all of that, Amelia is going to be crowned queen. Pride's curse is not being able to, and then we find out what all the other at least Pride's curse is, that he's not able to leave the 7 circles, and that the other brothers are still cursed, and Pride believes Lucia is still alive. Fauna and Amelia's friendship is still intact. Amelia invited Victoria and Domenico to her coronation, and they also reveal the truth about Vesta, and they cleared Victoria's name, and also the brothers are horrified to have finally learned what happened with Vesta and what greed did. And Amelia and Envy have a sweet moment where they admit that they're finally friends. Oh, and then I have a little note that I said Wrath, Envy, Greed, and Sloth are my favorites, and Gluttony, Lust, and Pride are also my favorites, though not as much. And then Lust grew on me, and he admits that he asks for consent, so that's good. And then finally at the end, Fauna and Anir finally got together, and Amelia was really happy about that. She ships them, she loves them together. And lastly, Amelia and Wrath did their wedding vows, and that's all that happened in the Kingdom of the Feared. I'm rating this book 6 stars. I really enjoyed the conclusion to Amelia and Wrath's story. I love how Amelia finally figured out who she really is, and I really like that we finally get to meet Sloth. I know that there's other books that Carrie has written that are have the other princes as the main characters, and I'm super excited to read those in the future. But yeah, that's it. Next time I think I will be talking about the Sins of the Zodiac series, which is the other book series that has been written and is still has more books coming, I believe, that the authors are from the Zodiac Academy series. So that will be talked about next time. Let me know what you thought of the Kingdom of the Wicked series, whether you liked it or not, or who your favorite demonic prince is. I already said my favorite is Envy, and I think also Sloth a little bit, maybe because he has a library. I think I would spend all my time in the library, and also because Envy has a library himself and also a museum, and as somebody who loves museums, I think that would be perfect for me. Oh, and also Wrath, but he's taken by Amelia, but it's okay. Yeah. If you want to see more from me, then please hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, then please hit the like button. And that's all, folks. So until next time, bye, friends.